but we've seen a pair of goblins and a pair of no rugs.
Yep.
Here, Zoo, Jonathan Bode.
On the left, leading off on... Whoa.
Oh,
One
we
second.
started there. But Jonathan playing Zoo and Eli Kassis, Reanimator.
So John leads on Horizon Canopy, Wild Nikado. Eli looking at his hand. Going to discard a Elish Norn.
That card's okay.
That's a reasonable. His reanimation targets: Angel of Despair, Elish Norn, Imperial Archangel, Sphinx of Steelwind, and just 3 Jin Gitaxes.
You know, when Jin Gitaxis gets into play, it is so awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Draw 7, have all these counters, counter all your removal, and then you bin your hand, thanks.
Yeah.
So John is Green Sun Zenithing after attacking for 1 with Wild Nikado. Probably going to get this Dryad Arbor. Yep, that's a Green Sun for X equals 0, so it's got to be Dryad Arbor. That does come into play untapped, but I don't think that really is what matters here. And Dryad Arbor is kind of an awkward mana source to have against that Elish Norn.
Well, I mean, maybe Eli does not have the turn to reanimation. Probably he does.
Well, to be fair, he only has 3 reanimate.
Fair enough.
Because he's playing 4 Exhume, 4 Animate Dead, because they're better against Mental Misstep.
That's a very good point.
This matchup, I don't know. It was always interesting. I don't actually know who is or isn't favored in this matchup. Zoo has some of the tools it needs, like Path to Exile, Lightning Bolts, like a fast start to beat the Reanimate, and Path to Exile.
And he's also got sideboard Tormod script.
Yes. He also has sideboard Mental Misstep, Red Blast, Pyroblast, so...
He doesn't want to push in too much, lest his Zoo deck stop being a Zoo deck.
But he does have these Stoneforge Mystics that probably aren't that
Stoneforge
great.
is probably very slow. The whole package is probably too slow.
I don't think you really want to hit...
Jite as a natural draw might be like a weak
Probably-
+4 on the next turn.
Probably just leaving a couple Stoneforges in the Batter Skulls as a threat. I don't think you want Sword of Body in mind against Reanimator. I don't think that...
But I mean, you do 2 damage and get a creature.
And then they get everything.
Well, oh, really?
Yeah.
Magic players, this is the last call for
Pride Mage isn't that great. Sphinx of the Steelwind is pro green. John fetches the Plateau to pump that Wild Nikado up to a 3/3. And Chain goes to the face. Puts Ely to 13, I believe. John's gonna tap his lands and play a Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf here, currently a 3/4.
Yeah.
Can pretty easily become a 4/5 with not much work.
Correct. It looks like John's hand has a Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, and let's see, I can't tell what the last card is. So Ely, end of turn, cracks a fetch. Gets a Underground Sea and Entombs.
That is a very, very nice looking Underground Sea.
Yeah, his deck is really nice.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's an English Underground Sea. I wouldn't be surprised if that's in like the $150 mark, 120.
That's
Is that
beta.
beta?
150, 120?
I don't know how much they're worth anymore.
Times 10.
Really?
Yeah.
That much? You're
Yeah.
kidding me.
Yeah, regulars are in the 150 range. Or a bit less.
I can't. Wow. That's really...
Beta Underground Sea is actually the second most expensive card. Or set, like, regular, like, from beta. It's more than Recall
Oh
X.
my god.
Yeah.
It's $1,200 and it's out of stock at StarCityGames.com.
Yeah, they...
I had no idea
Beta
that it had
C-
hopped that much.
Beta C is more than Recall, because and Special Recall only need 1. Underground Sea might need 4 for your vintage deck.
We've got an Exhume from Kassis.
So that's going to kill the Dryad Arbor.
Oh man.
It looks like he chose to get back, or chose to get Sphinx of the Steelwind. Oh, so he's not going to get Elish Norn. I think he was debating between Jin Gitaxis and the Sphinx possibly, but there are probably other lines he could have debated on. He's now debating whether to get the Jets the Elish Norn, kills the Dryad Arbor, shrinks Goyf down to 2/3, I think. A creature, land, instant sorcery.
$1,200. I really had no idea the Sky. I don't really like to pimp out my deck. I don't run foils in general. I don't run, I don't care about. Yeah, wow.
So there's a path on Elish Norn that's going to get Mental Misstep, bringing Ely down to 10.
Oh my god.
And there's another Path to Exile. So that one's going to stick. And I think this Goyf and Cat hit in there for 7, putting Ely to 3.
Your seats for construction are going up. You will be on the row of tables closest to the dealer booth. Please follow
I'm thinking of buying a new house. I just want to find, Mr. Kassis sometime, and any of his friends, and see if I can buy a couple of houses.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. That swing knocks. What is it? 2 attacks or 1 attack and a good burn spell from a kill.
No, that was he was already at 10, so that 7 puts him to 1 burn spell away. The Sphinx.
No, are you sure? Is he at 3 now? Then is what you're saying?
He was at 12, paid 2 for the misstep. Oh, apparently the $30,000 near mint beta set actually sold last weekend. So that's a copy of every card. I remember all the power being 9 or higher grading out of 10. Basically impossible to... Adrian here laughing.
For those of you who are going to be in Gen Con, one of my favorite local bands, Daniel Malayan, is going to be playing at Gen Con, and there's an awesome blog at datl.com where he talks about Magic and about his band, and he's holding about, 100 or 200 lotuses.
Yeah.
Like for reals lotuses. And it's good times. What do we got here? Animate Dead here.
So Ely forced that lethal lightning bolt and is now entombing another monster to come back.
Is that Sphinx of the Steel Wind?
Yep, Sphinx of the Steel Wind.
Now, Sphinx of the Steel Wind is very nearly nigh invulnerable.
Yep, with 2 paths gone, if that guy hits John, Ely's going to rapidly get into range of... Well, not rapidly, just going to win this game. Especially if that Jenga Taxis also comes back next turn. So Ely
2 life. Oof.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Ely draws.
Zing.
Here
he
Sphinx
comes.
gets in there for 5 because the Animate Dead subtracts a power. The original beta wording on that card is so weird.
Now, even a Green Sun Zenith doesn't help John out yet, just because the Green Sun Zenith, he needs to have the mana to activate the Kasali Pride Mage
To kill the
yeah.
Animate Dead.
Yeah. And there's the Jin, 7 cards.
Yep. Pick up 7.
So much that he has to do here.
Yeah, with Jin, you just draw 7, and then you lay out which 7 you want to keep, and just don't even pay attention to which ones you like, what the rest are. How many is that? I don't know. Pitch 3, 4, 7. Who knows?
Whoa. You might hear in the background the cries of surprise.
Someone found the dimmer switch, it looks like.
There we go. There we go. Oh, thank you for turning the lights back up, whoever accidentally pushed that down.
So, yeah, that's packing it in, because Jenga Taxis and Sphinx sealing the deal.
I forget who...
Ely had the force for that lethal bolt, and that was
right.
it.
I forget who we saw maybe about a month and a half ago with the Jin Kataxis Reanimate deck. Kind of, was it him? I didn't realize.
Kyle Kloster or Ely, they were the 2 who put up the results. I know one Michigan guy, Christopher Walton, who's kind of a well-known legacy, or somewhat well-known legacy figure, top 16 in Cincinnati with the deck as well.
Right. Awesome deck. I mean, we haven't seen Reanimation of this variety do anything in a long time, and I think that the printing of both Jin Kataxis and I think Mental Misstep to protect against swords and things like that have really made this deck a real threat in the format.
Yeah. It's still got a bit of the shakiness it had before, the problem post-Mystical Tutor, but Jin Kataxis kind of gets rid of a lot of that. Jin Kataxis, you make him on 2, probably enough against everybody. Iona didn't used to be, but Jin Kataxis, they have a turn. They realistically have until your end step.
I mean, there are people, I remember when someone was like, well, what are they going to do? You just, sure, they can get the Jin Kataxis into play, but they're going to be so low on life because of the, reanimate.
Oh, minus 10.
I'm like, well, but the thing is that if you happen to be tapped out, which happens all the time on turn 2, then you're going to have no hand, and they're going to have, like, an incredible hand.
Well, you'll have a hand for a turn, and you're going to be trying to kill that Jin Kataxis through their hand that's like Force of Will,
Mental Misstep,
second reanimation spell, third reanimation spell, and 2 and a blue card.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I saw somebody kill 2 Jin-Gitaxias over the course of like 2 turns.
yeah,
And it didn't matter because the Jin-Gitaxias was still there at the end of that player's turn. So their hand was so full of gas, they were like, that's cool, how about you stop this other thing?
yeah. So I think that John can board in 3 mental missteps, 2 Tormod's Crypt. Maybe he wants Metamorphs, Red Blast, and Pyroblast are all reasonable.
I like Kasali Pride Mage, honestly. It can speed up his clock by a little bit, and it also kills an Animate Dead.
It is an answer to Animate Dead, yes.
It's an answer, and it's a clock.
It seems a little conditional, though. I don't think it's that good of a clock, though. It's, in terms of his guys, like, he wants a Wild Nacatl. It might just be all the Stoneforge Mystic stuff out. That might just be too slow.
I think the Stoneforge package is incredibly slow. Take out 4 Stoneforge Mystic, take out Batterskull, Sword of Body and Mind, and consider taking out Jite.
It's Jite's like a 4-power, like, you don't want to play a 4/4.
Well, you might. How many cards do you want to bring in? You want to bring in a lot. So
probably,
yeah, you can bring out the Jite.
Sylvan Library can also go, I think. Another slower card. I don't think you're going to want to be in the scenario where you're going long, using Sylvan Library and Fetches to control your draws against Reanimator.
I'm not even thinking about going long so much as you drop your initial cards and then go Sylvan, take 8, Sylvan, take 4, and just power through cards to get more things that you can use as threats and answers.
I don't know if you have time to do that even. The Gaddock Teague is not good.
It only stops Force of Will? Is that correct?
I don't even think. Yeah, I don't think you want Gaddock Teague. I think you want. You have a Pride Mage in the main already to green some source, so I don't think you need the second one. So you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards in this matchup. That's 9, 10 with the Gaddock Teague. Maybe board out a Grim Lavamancer.
Grim Lavamancer also seems like a marginal card in this matchup.
Yeah. And he doesn't have a Karakas for this Knight of the Reliquary. So that's 11. You can probably not board in all 3 Metamorphs. You might even not want Metamorph in general.
What do you see from the other side, from the Reanimation deck?
Well, Blazing Archon and Sundering Titan are awesome. But
yeah.
I don't know if either of them is necessarily better than Angel or Elish Norn or one of those guys. Elish Norn might not be great. Maybe you want Sundering Titan.
I mean, not every time that you do it it's going to be not every time that you reanimate is it going to be via Entomb. Because of careful study, just increasing the number of things you have that are good can be an excellent one.
Yeah. Well, you may as well upgrade to a better Entomb target. Imperial Archangel is probably fine. Sphinx is great. Angel of Despair is probably reasonable.
Actually, I don't know if what is Angel of Despair? I mean, it kills the best
creature
thing, but I mean...
It comes in and it kills a creature, so even if it dies right then, they're still down a creature and down a bit of a clock, so you might want to Entomb it in some scenarios. But I could also see Blazing Archon and Thunder Titan just swapping out for some of those. I could also maybe see a Jin-Gitaxias coming out. Jin-Gitaxias isn't at his high point in this matchup. If you reanimate on turn 3, it might be a little slow as a 5/4. Everyone's always said this 5/4 thing. Well, this is the matchup where maybe a 5/4 isn't enough to fight with. Like, you might have to just trump a charm away.
What are your cards you cut, though?
Just move on reanimation targets. Let's see. Does he have... He has Show and Tells. You might want to bring those in. You can afford to go to turn 3 if you're Show and Telling rather than, reanimating or something like that, and it dodges Tormod's Crypt.
Dodges the Crypt. I think we see a mulligan from LA. Is it Ely or Eli?
I think they called him Eli over the speaker and he corrected them.
So it's Ely. Ely Kassis.
Yeah. There's also a Grave Titan. No, honestly, I'm pretty sure Ely has a pretty solid board plan for this matchup. I want to see what he does. My guess is that there's some minor shifting of reanimation targets, and the card Reanimate might come out for Show and Tell. Just the straight
That's
swap.
not unreasonable, because, I mean, you could be in a position where, let's say that via a little bit of disruption from your opponent, that Reanimate simply is not even castable.
Right. The other thing, too, is you want to wait around Tormod's Crypt, which, if the Zoo deck's going to interact with you, it's going to be Tormod's Crypt.
Well, I mean, it can also interact with Mental Misstep, and it can interact with Pyros.
Yeah, usually the card you're looking at, though, like most commonly, when I think of what's this aggro deck going to do, it's going to be, it's going to Tormod's Crypt, it's going to Relic of Progenitus, something along those lines.
Right, I mean, but commonly it does not take into account what he has in his sideboard.
Right. So we'll see about that going to game 3. Yeah. I don't know. Pyroblast is pretty common, too. That might make Show and Tell worse, but I think I'd still board it for Reanimate.
Well, Pyroblast is a good answer to Jin-Gitaxias. It's good against your Brainstorm Careful Study, and it's
and counters missteps. If you want to fight over that, Path to Exile. Fight the misstep. Actually stick the Path on the Sphinx is really important. So it looks like Ely's going to 5 cards. Yeah, let's see what else is in Ely's. I don't think Ely wants him to Torok for this matchup. He has it for the blue matchups, I think he said. So you can attrition them out going long if they're too heavy on counters for you to really fight through just...
Yeah, him to Torok doesn't make much sense to me in this.
Thoughtseize not very good here. Flusterstorm not good here. Maybe... I don't know. I don't like the Echoing Truth in the sideboard. When I played the deck, I had no idea what they were doing there. They don't really... There's not really like a hate card that they bounce for sure. Like maybe Leyline. But that's not a card I'm too concerned with. I just always lean on show and tell to beat Leyline. Needle, no, maybe Fifthing Needle, but again, that's a card I hated.
Needle and Echoing Truth have the same kind of role, which is they answer stuff you didn't know you had to answer.
Sure. I don't know. My problem with Needle is that I'd rather have a Stifle against all the Tormod script effects. And because Stifle can just randomly hit a land.
Tormod script turn 1 from Jonathan and a go. No land. That's really, really... That's leaning so hard on that crypt that it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
This isn't Dredge we're talking about here. Reanimator is a blue-black combo deck with Brainstorm and Force of Will and all sorts of... I think it was the Flores or Chapin coined the term velocity, you know, just digging effects. You are going to find answers to that Tormod script. That's not a problem.
And speaking to that, Ponder, trying to find something of use, of which there are many possible ways to go about doing it. Maybe he did bring in the show and tell. Or maybe what he'll do is he'll Echoing Truth first at the end of a turn somewhere down the line, and then Entomb Reanimate. There's no land. I mean, you don't want to be the aggressive deck and then not put a clock down.
It looks like John has his Singleton Wasteland in hand, and he drew a Horizon Canopy off top. There's the Singleton Wasteland.
And how many lands does
17.
17? So, I mean, this is a deck that does run low on land.
Yeah.
So maybe wow. Second Tormod script.
Yeah. This
Horizon Canopy.
He's got a Misstep in hand, Tormod script. This whole 4 Underground Sea thing is just... I guess Ely has to have it to support him to Torok. But that's just something that always bugs me. I look at these combo decks, I see, you know, 4 C's like, why don't you fetch a basic? Why don't you just not get Wastelanded and get your 2 mana spells that you need to cast? You're already cheating on lands. But if you're supporting him, I can definitely see that. Sometimes your mana base just needs it. So Ely has an end of turn Entomb, which John decides to mental misstep even with those Tormod scripts in play. Maybe afraid of a Pithy Needle, maybe just afraid of something that he has no idea. Ely might have just been using that Entomb as a way to... you know, Entomb, Reanimate, pop a Tormod script, maybe deal with the other one some way.
I don't like the mental misstep on that Entomb when you've got 2 Tormod scripts in play.
I can agree with that.
Now, what's in his hand? He's got a Chain Lightning? Is that a Mystic?
Yep. Left in Mystics.
I mean, maybe what he has done is he's changed and stopped being a zoo deck to become some sort of strange control deck.
Yeah. Maybe he just left in Mystic for Batterskull. That's always possible.
I mean, if you think about it, right, he's got Tormod script, he's probably got, he's got Mental Misstep, he might have Pyroblast, you know, like, he really could turn into some different deck than he used to be.
Some sort of fish deck as opposed to, like, what he was.
And there's a Jin-Gitaxias there in the yard.
Yep.
Draw. There's the, fetch land there.
No, it's the dual land. Wait, which?
Isn't that a Strand?
No, that's a Plateau.
No, I was talking about from Ely.
Misty, that's a Misty. Same
Misty,
card.
yeah.
So John plays a Tarmogoyf.
That's what he needs. He needs a clock on the table.
Yep.
Ely sacrifices the Misty Rainforest. Is that a foil fetch land as well?
Yes.
So he's
and these are Guru lands.
Yes. Yeah, he's got a deck that is worth a lot of money. He's like, okay, I'm going to do a search on islands. What is the most expensive island that I can have? I'm going to do a search on
let's play the game. Guru Islands. I think they're 80? Out of stock is 70. Okay.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that he might be using the most expensive variant of every spell that he can.
That foil Japanese Brainstorm, probably. Sure, why not? Mass Brainstorm, not even like the F&M Japanese ones. This is like sometimes you just gotta show it. I'm not a real fan of those. You know, I have an underground sea in my storm deck that's almost falling apart. You know, if it's playable, it still plays. But I mean, I understand the appeal.
I've got a black bordered Tundra, and it's black bordered because someone used a Sharpie on it to try to make it look like it was a beta. You know, for my mind, it was like, well, it looks dumb, but it's a Tundra.
Taps for a blue, yep. Taps for a white, yep. Fetch it with a fetch land, yep. Did it.
And looks like we got some smartphone action. Something might be being looked up. Perhaps he is using the Star City Games app.
It might be Oracle text from a judge. Who knows? He could also be working emergency medical services.
I know.
Yeah, it could be anything. Yep, that was a judge Oracle text. Yep.
Now he needs a conference. He's going to go talk to the judge and find out how something works.
What card do you think it is?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not 100%. Okay, sorry, I'm not sure if you caught that. For those of you who are just joining us, we're taking a small break from the match while a judge conference happens with Eli. There we go. Kassis playing Reanimator versus Jonathan Bode's Zoo deck, which, you know, I'm not exactly sure what he might be conferring on. Maybe it's if he gets a Sphinx of the Steel Wind and animates it. If it's not pro black, is it? I forget.
No, that's pro regular. Yeah, he might be conferring on the Oracle text on Animate Dead. That's one that kind of works.
It's an old card. Yeah. He's got a beta version of it.
Does he?
Yeah, that was a beta Animate Dead.
Yeah.
And so
I was just looking up the text on that card, and it's the original card text is any creature in either player's graveyard comes into play on your side with -1, just like not -1/-0, just -1 to its original power. If this enchantment is removed or at end of game, target creature is returned to its owner's graveyard. Target creature may be killed as normal.
I love that.
Or at end of game.
Or at end of game.
Back in the days of Ante. And
So,
the Oracle text, for those wondering.
It could very well be about Animate Dead.
Yeah. So Animate Dead triggers upon it entering the battlefield and targets.
Well, we'll see what happens. Show and tell. Well, he's not going to be able to do anything about that. Show and tell's into play and Animate Dead.
Huh.
With a Djinn, show and tell's into play. Now, what happens there is he actually has to respond to the show and tell with a Tormod's Crypt, or it is too late to be able to use the Tormod's Crypt to bring back the...
I don't think so. It says when Animate Dead enters the battlefield.
But that's not the current wording.
That's the Oracle text. Right there.
When enters the battlefield.
We're going to look this up on Gatherer.
Yeah, I don't think you can respond once you've selected the Animate Dead. Historically, the enchantments that have those kinds of things usually...
yeah, so here's the joke. Wait.
Real quick, just to make sure we don't get too far behind the game. Jonathan's show and tell was Phyrexian Metamorph, copying the Djinn Gitaxias. Legend Rule kills them both.
Yeah. So no, he can't... I think that's incorrect. I think what happens is the Animate Dead comes into play... Yeah, well that's right. He can't respond to targeting. It comes into play enchanting a dead creature, but what can happen is it triggers and goes on the stack to switch to in play.
Hold up, though. Attack with Tarmogoyf. Lay Wild... Or not Wild Nakata, I almost said Wild Mongrel. Attack, knocking him to half of his life.
Yeah.
And then your turn. What were you saying?
Okay, so what he could have done... Oh, that's a chain. That's
chain
a chain lightning.
win.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, he was a few less life than we saw there, I think. So here's how this works. He show and tells putting Animate Dead into play. When an aura just comes into play, as opposed to being cast, it targets when it's cast, but if it's just put into play, it just comes into play enchanting something that it can legally target, right? So it's legally targeting a creature in a graveyard. So it's enchanting Djinn Gitaxias at this point in time. Then it triggers to When it enters the battlefield, if it's on the battlefield, it loses enchant creature card in the graveyard and gains enchant creature put onto the battlefield with Animate Dead. Then you return the enchanted creature to the battlefield and attach Animate Dead to it. So there still triggers, and in response to that trigger, you can Tormod script that.
Right.
And Jin-Gitaxias will be exiled. It will no longer be a creature card in a graveyard, so Animate Dead will have an illegal target. It will fall off, or it will be illegal enchanting something. It will fall off and be put into the graveyard after Tormod script resolves.
Essentially, the claim is that the when sets up a situation where there's a trigger, and that can be responded to.
That can be responded to. But if you show and tell the Animate Dead into play, you cannot respond to the target.
Right.
Yes, he gets to choose what it targets before you can respond with Tormod script. But you can respond with Tormod script and still counter the Animate Dead.
I feel like there's some part of the way that the rules works with regards to put into play effects, with regards to auras, that make it slightly different than that. But I don't remember if that's the case or not.
The only thing with put into plays with auras is that if you're casting an aura from your hand, you choose the target as you're casting it. But if you're putting it into play, it just attaches to something. Just putting it directly into play.
See, that's the claim, though. If it just attaches to something, it's possible, depending on how the judge rules.
This still triggers. Like, it's a triggered ability that goes on the stack once a player has priority.
But if it's into play with, let's see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very, very weird corner case. I just know that the trigger can be stifled, so it has to go on the stack. Oh, wait. That's a good point.
Wow.
Metamorph cannot kill Jin-Gitaxias if that's shown that way.
Right, it's not being cast.
It's not actually...
So it's not in play yet to be targeted.
The trigger goes on the stack, and Jin-Gitaxias is not actually in play for the Phyrexian Metamorph to copy. All that's in play when the... Also, they're both coming into play at the same time. It's an as it comes into play effect, so it has to choose something already on the battlefield.
Too late.
So, Metamorph would have had to copy a Tormod script or something. So,
wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, we both missed that one. Yeah, that's a very, very strange set of interactions. They may want to... I don't know if we're able to clarify. There's nothing that can be done at this point because... there's nothing that can be done at this point because, the match is already in progress and, can't really say anything about the Animate Dead triggering because that's outside assistance. The question was asked in result, like, Eli asked the question and a legal response was given by the judge, but it should be noted that at the time, that was an illegal play. At the time that Metamorph was coming into play, there was not even an Animate Dead in play. There was nothing in play for it to choose. It could not have done that to the Jin-Gitaxias.
Let's pretend that we have something very simple, right? Let's pretend we have show and tell with, conferred with some judges, with a legend versus a clone. Any legend versus a clone, the clone won't kill that legend.
Interesting. I've brought that up a lot of times. I just completely forgot that the simultaneous entering play with respect to the was going on. So Ely leads on a Misty Rainforest, and John follows back with Taiga into Green Sun for Dryad Arbor.
Essentially playing a virtual Llanowar elf.
Yep.
I didn't know I was going to play Vault Flash today. Here's the worst part.
And we wait for Jonathan to finish the shuffle. Yep. Back to Ellie.
Passes with a polluted Delta in play.
Jonathan has a huge 1 power in play he can come in with, or more likely, he'll just use this to make some more development on his board. We got a turn 2 here. Sylvan Library for Jonathan.
Yeah, people are commenting that we should mention something about what's going on wrong. So at this point, I think we've tried to communicate with the judges what occurred, but there's nothing that can really be done to retroactively fix what happened at this point.
Right.
So all that's going to happen is there's going to be, at most a warning. Possibly the judges are just going to say, well, we issued the wrong ruling, we apologize.
Yeah. is something that happens. You know, on Moto there are very occasionally bugs, and in real life there's occasionally rules errors when it comes to the rulings.
There's the infamous Congregation at Dawn, Path to Exile one.
Right?
Where,
Like, that's just, I think one
It
of the
happens.
one of the things I love about paper Magic is that if you're good with a combo deck, say, you can play it out really quick.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's a drawback of paper Magic is let's pretend that a rules violation happens. It does not take very much time passing in the game for it to be too late. It
Completely
sticks.
irreparable. And you know, you cannot like accidentally mess up the rules on Moto. The rules work the way the Moto rules work. Maybe there's a programming glitch, but that's how the rules work on Moto. You can't argue with it. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
In real life, you know, you get that, but sometimes there's a bit of a bit of arguing, a bit of, you know, sometimes someone gets it wrong. It happens.
Absolutely. And, you know, the thing is, one of the best things that we can do with the judge program, we have really good judges that are mentoring, you know, judges that are more inexperienced here at the Star City Games events, at other events that are being run by very good tournament organizers. There's a really good set of judges that you can expect to find at these events.
Yeah, I mean, even then, I'm a judge. I've been judging since, I don't even know, Betrayers of Kamigawa, I want to say.
Right.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those interactions that, you know, until you remember about, like, it's a lot of different rules. I knew all the rules. It's just like, you just don't think about it. You're like, oh, this is how this should work.
You know,
not at all.
At one point, I want to say he was editor-in-chief for MagicTheGathering.com, Scott Johns, but I'm not sure if he was editor-in-chief.
That sounds right.
At one point, I think in one of his very, very last matches of Sanctioned Magic as a Magic player, he had 2 judges watching, a crowd of pro players watching, made a rules violation, and no one realized until after the match was over. And, you know, that happens.
Yeah.
You can have a whole bunch of people watching, and we've got thousands watching, so it makes it easier for us to catch.
Yeah. So here we go. Back to the
Sylvan
match.
Library on the table.
You have to leave that one in, so I'm interested.
He went to a more controlling looking set of cards, like so many answers. If he's got a lot of answers, he can afford to suck up 8 damage here and there just to be like, those are pretty good, let's get them.
He probably cut Jinga Taxis. Or not Jinga, Grim Lavamancer. I'm thinking the wrong deck for a second.
Jonathan Bode cut Jinga Taxis from the Z deck.
No, he probably cut Grim Lavamancer. Left in Stoneforge, maybe cut. There's no way he cut Knight of the Reliquary. That can't be possible. So, see what happens here. Ely's gonna brainstorm, ponder. Kept a bit of a slower hand, a bit more answers to the answers, a bit.
I'm trying to tell where the money value of his ponder is. I
don't even want to know.
Is there an expensive ponder?
I can only assume that's a Japanese foil M12 or M10.
Maybe it's Chinese.
Who knows?
And there we see the Beta Underground Sea.
Probably has the playset in there.
And Sylvan Library. A card that has been errated so many times, it does nothing like any of the printed card texts.
Yes. Have you seen, the latest argument on it is like, so I upkeep Brainstorm, I buy 2 minutes Blast, and then I hit a Sylvan Library. Like, what cards in my hand have I drawn this turn?
You have to actually keep track if you want to activate the Sylvan Library.
Right.
Wild Nakatl.
But then the other question is, can you just ask anyone at any point, what cards have you drawn this turn? You know, like...
I don't think that you can. I think you actually have to make some sort of way of indicating it, or it won't.
So, but what we're saying
Horizon Canopy.
Yep, Dried Arbor gets in for 1. But then the question becomes, so it's not public information, but you have to keep track of it publicly then?
There are certain cards that have done this in the past.
Right.
Morph, Illusionary Mask. There's hidden information that's semi-public.
Yeah, it's just a very weird situation where, like, you know...
Brainstorm from Ellie. He's got a fetch land there that he can turn this Brainstorm into a quasi-ancestral recall.
Yep. Brainstorm is definitely the best card in this format and is kind of what defines it. More so than any other card, the power of Brainstorm is,
Please make your way to the register.
The power of Brainstorm compels you.
Yep.
And Scott Yoder.
Still resolving this Brainstorm at the end of turn.
Let's see.
Fetches.
Shuffles away the bad cards, and you know that's what you're supposed to do. Just brainstorm, shuffle away the bad cards. I know AJ Soccer had a video on this. I'm sure Ely knows this as an experienced Legacy player, but you know, brainstorming, putting your cards back, then drawing those two cards is pretty miserable.
Right. They've actually, with the Sylvan Library, they've actually made Sylvan with the current. We got an Entomb from Ely, my bad. Ely, Kassis.
We're probably all pronouncing it wrong.
You know, I
It's
want
all
to say
good.
Eli. That's the most common pronunciation.
It's not Eli.
But apparently it's not Eli.
It might be
Yeah.
Ellie. It might be Eli.
So one of the things they've done with while he resolves his Entomb, with Sylvan Library, the most recent errata of it actually makes the card weaker than it's been in a while.
Really?
Because it used to be you could do this: draw my card from my draw. Before I activate my Sylvan Library, cast, say, Impulse or Intuition or Fact or Fiction, and those aren't drawn. But then afterwards, then activate your Sylvan and be able to get more selection yet out of Sylvan Library.
Interesting. And now because it triggers after the draw?
Yeah.
Or it triggers...
It's cards drawn this turn is the way that Sylvan Library was worded.
Interesting.
Here we go. We see...
Imperial Archangel hitting play.
Yep. We're not into play, into the graveyard.
Yeah. Well, soon
That's
to be.
soon to be. Very shroudy.
Yep. Gonna play around that Path to Exile in John's hand.
Radiant Pod is waiting for you.
Looks like John's a little land heavy this game.
Exhume.
Yep.
Says it's okay.
And Archangel hits play.
If you're Jonathan, what do you do now?
Just amass a board state that's gonna fight through that angel is what you have to do.
It's a pretty quick clock to be able to get that state. What else do we have?
Ponder?
Another Ponder. Because of the way that you can't.
Oh, activate it. It triggers?
Yeah.
You can respond to the trigger though. Let's see. John looks like he's fetching EOT here. Gonna crack Horizon Canopy possibly. I might have saved that fetch to use with the Sylvan Library though, as a pseudo brainstorm. John sees Path, Misstep, Land. Not enough action to really fight through that angel. And the interesting thing is that Ely can just swing with that angel, no fear. And, it's the same as leaving it back because, he leaves it back, blocks something, it's taking the damage from that. He attacks, he doesn't block something, still taking the damage from that. So John here is basically looking to push through as much damage as possible in one turn, getting to that 8 to get that angel out of the way, but at the same time,
It's going to be very hard.
Ely can just bring it right back, and even if he throws all his burn spells, that's still no damage to Ely. Yeah, I don't know about that end of turn fetch. I'd want to save that to use with the library, which is what just came up. Though he may have... No, he did library last turn, so he didn't...
He knew what was on top.
There we go. That's why. So... I think they're figuring out what's... how much life is being lost at this library here.
Is that 2 Path to Exiles on hand?
Yep.
Or is that
Welcome to the wonderful world of Shroud. John, that looks like a Knight of the Reliquary?
the Open Series logo is over it? I can't quite tell.
It might also be, Sword of Body.
Sword! Wow!
Which does absolutely nothing against this Imperial Archangel. Absolutely nothing. Redirects to Archangel. Does not do damage to a player.
I mean, it is +2 damage.
Yeah. It's a 5-mana goblin chariot.
To be fair, it also makes the Imperial Archangel not able to choose to block.
Yeah. The choice is mine now.
Yeah. I'm trying to come up with something. I'm grasping at straws.
John looks like he's currently dead in 3 swings to that Archangel. He's also tapped out, so if Ely looked like he has a show and tell, if he puts a Jenga Taxes into play, this game is over. You know, he gets the trigger and passes back with a full grip of hate.
I mean, his hand is already 6 cards thick, I think.
But why have a lot when you could have everything?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that that's a reason to not get Jenga.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's got so much stuff, he's probably got some stuff.
Yeah. I see 2 Force of Wills in there, so it's reasonably enough to keep the rest of the 8 power necessary off the table, the rest of the 8 damage. Ely puts John to 9
Says
and
go.
passes the turn. Might just not have the Jenga Taxes, might just be saying, I want to pitch it to Force of Will, I don't really care.
Stoneforge Mystic Lightning Bolt.
Well, Lightning Bolt is nice here because we have a different definition of nice, I guess, but it is an attempt to kill that Angel for sure.
It's going to be a rough one through the Force of Wills.
Yep. Imperial Archangel really showing its strength over something like Platinum Angel or even Platinum Imperium.
I mean, Platinum Imperium would lock Ely out of being able to use his fetch lands.
Or Force Wills, yeah.
Yeah.
That one was there for a little bit. It was kind of a cute way to deal with reanimate life loss, because if you reanimate Imperion, it comes back into play, then you don't lose the life, because your life roll can't change.
Jonathan tries to use the Lightning Bolt.
Gets
Mental misstep. Does Jonathan have a misstep of his own?
He's going to cast it right
2
back.
life, missteps the misstep. Ely has Force of Will ×2 in his hand still, though. Mm-hmm. Misstep kills misstep. Bolt still on the stack.
Force of Will probably pitching
I
show
see
and
a
tell.
lot of blue cards in Ely's hand.
That looks like a Force of Will. Pitching. Oh, he did have Jenga Taxes show and tell. Just
slow it. He doesn't need to worry.
Yeah. Why risk not drawing a blue card?
Bolt does not resolve.
John Bode stuck with all of these Path to Exiles in his hand that aren't really doing him that much good.
And John has a fetch land to shuffle the library, because his library has nothing good on top. But he's running out of time.
Yeah, he has 1 turn left here. That fetch land puts him to 1 too. So this is really the last shot. Hitting needle. He let that resolve. That's going to name Windswept Heath, I think. Maybe Horizon Canopy. But
that was such a risk to not respond to that.
Yeah. I think you respond and crack the canopy right there.
I think you respond. You know the top's not good. Crack the heath, then crack the canopy.
Yep. I wonder what Ely named off that. I hope he didn't name Sylvan Library. There was a point where it's an activation. It might be an activation on the card. Okay, name Horizon Canopy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to just crack in response and just.
There was actually several years where Sylvan Library was activated.
Well, it's on the physically on the card. It's 0.
Yeah.
Something.
Green Sun's Zenith.
Nope.
Does that do anything for him?
No. Not at all. That's a Metamorph? Nope, Metamorph doesn't do anything either because he is at 1 life.
And that's the match.
Ely Kassis manages to win despite the awkward ruling situation that occurred game 2,
Right.
which it happens sometimes.
I mean, it's honest.